All right, everybody, the Wonder Woman trailer just dropped, and we're going to break it down for you right now here on ScreenCrush. Now, we open on what I'm guessing is Diana's apartment, judging by these personal effects. This is an old-timey photo of a wedding, probably the wedding of someone from Diana's World War I veterans group. Now, this is a newspaper clipping from what looks like the end of the war, showing this is still a seminal moment in Diana's life. She's walking on her terrace in full Wonder Woman gear, and making me wonder if she's publicly active as Wonder Woman or if she's staying hidden. Now, it could be that she's lived a normal life since 1918, but the events of this movie draw her out of hiding. Now, there's some indications of that I'll get into in a bit. Now, overall, I don't think they're worried about how the continuity of this movie matches up with Batman vs. Superman. Warner Brothers seems more focused on making really good DC movies like Shazam and Joker and not building a cinematic universe. Now, here's a photo of her standing in front of Trevor Ranch. Now, this could be Steve Trevor's boyhood home, or more likely, a ranch she named in his honor. It'd be kind of weird if she went to Steve's family to tell them that he died, and it was like, oh, by the way, hey, could you take my photo in front of this sign? Gotta get at my LPPs. But this newspaper clipping is about the veterans of foreign wars honoring Steve, so maybe she did go to his hometown. More importantly is the watch in front of the photo. Now, this was an important device in Wonder Woman.
You let this little thing tell you what to do.
And it was the keepsake that Steve gave her right before his death. She's talking to Kristen Wiig's character, Barbara Ann Minerva, aka the villain Cheetah. In the comics, she's an archaeologist who becomes cursed and becomes half woman, half cheetah. In the more recent books, she and Diana were friends before her transformation, and it looks like that's what's happening here. In the previous movie, Diana was a museum curator, so this could explain how they meet. And also how Cheetah gets her powers. Maybe she finds an artifact that gives them to her. It seems like they're doing a Selina Kyle Batman Returns thing here, where the hero forms a relationship with a woman who's all nervous and wears glasses, like a nerd, until she becomes a cat-based villain for the hero to fight physically to distract her from the corporate bad guys she should be facing. The 80s style titles are probably an homage to the opening titles of the original Superman film, still the best DC movie ever made except for Dark Knight. The setting 1984 wasn't chosen randomly. The George Orwell novel of the same name is about people living in a police state under constant surveillance where state-sponsored lies are reported as truth. Now, thank God that's a fictional story that can never happen in the real world, but will probably happen somewhat in Wonder Woman 1984. Now, a lot of the movie's action seems to take place in Washington, D.C., where she lived for several years in the comics. Now, in this scene, if you look closely in the background, that person is your mom. And then we hear the villain, Pedro Pascal's Maxwell Lord, introducing us to the new time period.
Welcome to the future.
This is a self-help infomercial, something that became a cottage industry in the 80s. The decade was a time of excess.
It's another dazzling lifestyles of the rich and famous. Meet the stars of show business and big business.
It was kind of the pinnacle and nadir of what Diana calls man's world. And if you don't believe me, watch any Wall Street movie made about the 80s.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
This mall is the setting of a huge action set piece, and it looks like this is Diana's coming out party. But notice she takes out these security cameras. Now, this could be to hide her existence, or, I think, it could be related to mind control. Notice this guy watching Maxwell Lord's infomercial. In the comic books, Lord is a telepath. So I'm thinking in this movie, he's using technology or magic or both to start mind controlling ordinary people, like the two cops who Diana fights in the mall. And maybe he controls them with video surveillance technology, and that's why she takes out this camera. The use of video surveillance spiked in the 1980s, again leaning into the similarities with the novel 1984. But it is pretty cool that this little girl had Wonder Woman show up to her birthday party, even if it didn't go so well. And we know from behind the scenes photos that Steve is in the mall at some point. That's probably where he gets his tracksuit, swatch, and a fanny pack. In both the mall scene and the White House fight, it looks like Diana is defending Steve from ordinary people's attacks. So Steve, for some magical reason, is going to be very important to Maxwell Lord. Later in the trailer, you see full-on riots erupting in DC. Now, this would be a great antagonist for Diana. She's already beaten up a poorly rendered CGI god, so who's left for her to fight? Answer: innocent people that she can't defeat with violence. That's why in the White House fight, she pops this officer's bullet out of his chamber instead of hurting him. She's always looking for a non-violent solution. The movie takes place around July 4th. That's why there's a flag ribbon and a sale happening and fireworks later on. After this sequence, Diana is looking up at an airplane as Max says,
Think about finally having everything you always wanted.
Now here she's probably thinking about Steve's death. And then we see Steve's watch vibrating, implying that Max Lord helped resurrect him. They're reunited at this gala where he gives her a Timex watch. It's an 80s update to his final moments with her. Now, she's happy to see him and a little surprised, but not, oh my god, my dead boyfriend is alive surprised. So what if Diana made a deal with Maxwell Lord to make her fondest wish come true? There's also a possibility that she's being mind controlled into thinking that Steve is alive, except that later in the trailer he punches a dude, so he's clearly real. In the next shot, we see a huge satellite dish. Again, this could be Max using global surveillance to control people, but he's also holding a crystal that definitely looks magic. There's a lot of magic gems in the DC universe, like the Chaos Crystal and the Eclipso Gem, so it could be either of those. But to me, it looks like Max gets his powers by combining magic and technology. Steve and Diana fly through a fireworks display in what could be our first look at Wonder Woman's invisible jet from the comics and cartoons. So there's two options here. Either it's invisible because of magic or technology. If it's technology, it could be that they stole it from the military during the battle we see later in the trailer. Either way, in this clip, it definitely looks like she's lassoed thin air and is rising into the sky, so I'm going to call this one Invisible Jet. This battle could be Afghanistan, which the Russians invaded in the 1980s, so these could be Russian trucks and a Russian invisible jet. If Wonder Woman was part of some classified attack in a foreign land, that could explain why her existence was never made public. Now this border wall is collapsing, and that, along with Maxwell Lord's hairstyle, seems like a metaphor for some real-life event, but I can't figure out what that could be. Thoughts? We get a cool as hell intercut between Diana running as an adult and a child. Now this scene where she's running as a kid is part of the arena sequence on Themyscira, which we can see here. You can even see little Diana competing in the competition right here. Now in these shots, Maxwell Lord is underneath some bright blue light. There's a solid chance this is implying Brother Eye. That's a satellite surveillance network that was actually invented by Batman to spy on superhumans in the comics. It's based on Big Brother, the fictional leader from 1984. Brother Eye also controls OMAC, the one-man army corps. Now OMACs are cyborgs, people infected with a virus to become killing machines. These people walking in a trance could be OMACs. Then there's my favorite part of the trailer, when she swings like Spider-Man through bolts of frickin' lightning. Now I don't care if science says this is possible, it's awesome. If the movie has an invisible jet, an island of Amazons, and Biff Tannen mind-controlling people, then I'm not going to nitpick Bronco-busting electricity. She rides lightning in the comics, she's Zeus's daughter, and this is cool. Then we see her Golden Eagle armor, which first appeared in the Amazing Comics series Kingdom Come. Now in this shot, the railing behind her looks very similar to the satellite dish that we saw earlier in the trailer. So I think this is Max's headquarters, and now Diana has come for the big final showdown.
That's just a trash can.
It's just a trash can. Yeah.
The button at the end of the trailer is a reversal of Wonder Woman, where Diana was the fish out of water. Now Steve is the one who needs the world explained to him. Well, that's everything I found, guys. If you found anything else, let me know in the comments below. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.